Good morning, friends. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about St. Faustina and our Our Father study. So when we go to the Wood Hour, whichever catechism you look at, Our is going to tell you Our is making us a people. Like in the New Testament times, when you read about people building a wall, especially after the divided kingdom, why was it so important to build a wall so quickly? And remember, there were two groups kind of. One group was building the wall, one group was defending them, and sometimes even the people building the wall had spears, right? And that's kind of like we have our spiritual life and our active life, right? We've got to work on our earthly ends, but we have to work on our spiritual ones. We keep talking about don't just do works of charity. You have to balance that with your prayer life. But sometimes you are going to have very spiritual people who may focus more on prayer. And those would be like your nuns and convents, your poor Clares, right? And we see that in the movie St. Faustina, where St. Faustina has the visions from Jesus, but in the end, she's supporting the priest. And we hear about that off and on throughout time, how often a very missionary priest, or one who's really accomplished his mission, that's what I mean, he's really on a great mission and doing super great works, often has a nun who is somewhere in a cloister nonstop praying for him. Even St. Teresa the Little Flower, she wanted to be a missionary, but she ended up praying for other missionaries and doing a great job. And she asked us even to do that now. If we're on a mission, ask her to pray for us. She's loving doing that. So we see that partnership, right? Because it's our Father. We are a people, and we need to be looking out for each other. How else this ties into the St. Faustina movie is the scene. The scene. Okay, so parents had been asking, what's the rating of the movie? Can I take, and the youngest I heard people trying to take was a 9-year-old. Can I take my 9-year-old? And the answer is sort of. You're going to know your children best. I still don't know what the rating is, even though I was there. They didn't really put up a lot of marquees and stuff for the movie. They just told us like the number theater. I don't even think the name of the movie was outside the theater. They just told us what number to go to. So I did not see the rating, if there in fact is one. So 9-year-olds, you're going to know your kid best. There's going to be some sensitive topics. You're going to see St. Faustina on her deathbed. You're going to know that they're in wartime. And if you have a very sensitive child, that could be upsetting to them. But there is one scene. There's many funny scenes, don't get me wrong. For a docudrama, it was surprisingly funny. But that's just, you'll see. So the scene, and I heard some kids didn't even notice it. It's done very well. It's very discreet. They felt it needed to be in the docudrama, but it is discreet. So I heard some of the kids didn't even see it. I heard some parents tried to cover their kids' eyes, and that just made the kid curious as to what they were missing. So you know your kid, that may or may not be something they can do. But know that it's when, I think it's the German soldiers are leaving and the Russian soldiers are coming in. Something like that. So there's one, you see them sitting in the street, and there's a bunch of tanks, and some are leaving and some are coming in, and people are sitting on cars and stuff watching this happen. And then they go to the artist in his apartment. When they go to the artist in his apartment, even before that, as soon as you see those tanks in the street, that may be a time to get up and go to the bathroom or be like, hey, who wants popcorn? And, just kind of distract them or get in their face a little bit so that, their attention is on you. It's a very brief scene. It's not gory or anything. It's very discreet, very brief, and most kids aren't even going to know what it is. But should they see it, go back to our resources. This is a chance to talk. So the painter self-harms, and we don't know why. In the movie, they did mention that he was a Mason. They mentioned that he had been very frustrated with St. Faustina. Continually, his paintings weren't good enough. They weren't good enough. In the end, it was like, that'll do. Jesus says it's not good, but we'll take it, right? And they said towards the end of his life, he painted himself as Judas a lot. And where did that come from? So you're thinking maybe he despaired in the end, and that's what it was. But we don't know. And it was wartime, right? He could have had an injury. We now know that concussion can cause self-harming thoughts. We didn't know that before, but now we know that. So sometimes it can be that, and we don't know. There's also scenes of bullying. The priest in a later scene gets bullied a lot. So perhaps this priest was even bullied. Because he was a Freemason, like, it could have been like, why did you paint a picture of Jesus for this nun? Like, we don't know. He could have been bullied, right? We don't know. He could have felt that he wasn't good enough because he never got it right. Jesus said his painting wasn't good, but it was okay. That could weigh on his soul, right? And instead of turning to Jesus, he turned away from him. So what do you do with that? If your kid sees that, you can talk about those issues. You can talk about bullying. You can talk about injuries. You can talk about feeling like you're not good enough. Those are things that you can open that door to that discussion. Again, if you haven't read Father Chris Alar's book on after suicide, there's hope for them and for you. You can get out there and read that. If your child is upset by the suffering of Sister Faustina and for the priest and for the painter, another book that you might read, I don't suggest you tossing this book at your 9-year-old. I don't suggest that. But Father Spitzer talks about light shining in the darkness, transforming suffering through faith. This is an excellent book. And it is a big topic, so it's a big book, folks. And we know that, like, some saints have gone through dark night of the soul as well. So this book is going to get into it a little bit. If you want to know more about the dark night of the soul, maybe read some Saint Teresa, right, of Calcutta. So this book is going to just introduce you, the parent, so you might be able to answer the question why the all-loving God allows suffering. Not entirely, right? But it's going to give you a little help to help you tell the kid. And he does tell you, fear is useless. Love one another as I have loved you, because we are a people. We're looking out for each other, right? Finding light in the darkness, and it tells you opportunities for that. Opportunities for growth. And it lets you know that God is always with you. So I just want you to know that this is another great resource for parents to read, to talk to kids. I don't know if there is a kid's version of Transforming Suffering Through Faith. There totally could be, right? If you know one, please put it down in the comments and share it with others. So that's an opportunity. Putting those issues aside, movie was awesome. I just can't tell you enough how much I loved it. And it was a docudrama, so it had just the right amount of science in it, and it had a fair bit of, like, history in it. But then they acted some scenes out. And if you've been following me and you've seen me at the National Shrine of Divine Mercy up in Stockbridge, Massachusetts, you are going to recognize some scenes. And that was kind of nice. My son went to the movie with me, and a group of friends. And so that was kind of nice. It was kind of like, yeah, we've been there. So that was kind of nice. And they did the same thing that I did. They really don't show you the interior of the chapel and the image inside the chapel. Of course, that's not the original, but they really leave that glory for you to find on your own. So I do encourage you, if you feel a devotion to Divine Mercy, to make an effort to get to that shrine. It's beautiful. They also show the big shrine over in Poland. That's a completely different style. So if that's more your style, absolutely. And if you're ever near Poland, I would encourage you to go see that. So yeah, it had just the right amount. It was history and it was acted out. Oh, in the beginning, Saint Faustina, did she remind you of Saint Kateri at all? I'm not going to tell you why I'm saying that. But did she? Oh my goodness, friends. I thought that was amazing. So that ties into my vacation as well, because we did Saint Kateri and Saint Faustina, and I didn't really compare them before. But knowing more about Saint Faustina's history, now I can see that. And that was really cool for us. So the St. Faustina movie, it's coming back to theaters on December 2nd. We really loved it. And I won't completely embarrass him, but you know when you go to the movies, and we saw this, a lot of people were taking pictures with those big cardboard cutouts. So there was one for Star Wars that you could take your picture with, and some other movies. And some people were doing that, but we didn't have one. There wasn't one out. If you've already seen the movie and you have a devotion, I would encourage you, I'm just throwing this out there, I don't even know how kosher this is. I would encourage you to approach the theater, and maybe you have an information table where you're handing out pamphlets on the Divine Mercy, or you're offering to pray with people. There's those little tiny cards that are like this big, of the Divine Mercy image, the villainous image, and on the back it tells you how to pray the chaplet. So that's something rather economical that you could hand out, but you could have anything. You could have rosaries that you hand out. So ask your local theater. They might be open to it. So ours did not have a cardboard cutout of Jesus. If you happen to have a cardboard cutout of the Divine Mercy image, I don't even know if that exists. But if you have one, I encourage you to bring it. But if you happen to have a young man that happens to sort of look like Jesus and has the long hair and the beard and all, and you can convince him to stand like Jesus, you could have him pose in your group picture. I'm just throwing that out there. I tried to talk him into dressing up for the next one, but I don't think he's going for it. But it'd be really fun. But it might be a great idea to be able to support people with the movie. And if you're not able, if it's not coming to your town, go to the divinemercy.org. I think it's thedivinemercy.org is the web address. And you can sign up there to be notified when it's coming out on DVD and get your watch party planned now. Start thinking of things that you would want to do. You could even have fun food like an ice cream sundae, maybe with cherries going down one side and blueberries down the other. You can have it be super fun. You can coordinate your food, right? And have a dinner and or maybe just a dessert to show with the movie. And then absolutely maybe afterwards you go to the Adoration Chapel and you pray the Divine Mercy Chaplet. Maybe practice it a little bit after the movie. So it's a wonderful opportunity. I was talking to people after the movie about the movie, people who I know are Catholic, and they had never heard about the Divine Mercy Chaplet at all. I was stunned. So this is a huge opportunity, folks, to get out there and tell people. And if you're wondering what the Divine Mercy Chaplet is, I do invite you to go out. Ask me if you see me around. Absolutely. But you can also go to thedivinemercy.org. And I know that there is an app, a Divine Mercy app that the Marian Fathers have. I have it for iPhone, and it is just called Divine Mercy. Oh, and you can get the image right there. So if you're wondering what the image was, folks, there it is. There's the original villainous image, and it's showing the rays just coming out from Jesus and enveloping us because we are a people, right? Yeah. And at the bottom, it says, Jesus, I trust in you. And one of the, I don't want to spoil the whole thing. Go see the movie. Okay, friends. God bless you.